Okay, it's 4:11, and we're going to start our special select board meeting. It's Wednesday, April 12th, 2023. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And just so anybody listening will know, the whole purpose of this meeting is to prep for tomorrow night's town meeting, and I guess specifically the workshop portion that is scheduled after town meeting. So, and I guess we'll just kind of wing this. I just thought it'd be good if we had, question and answer, bullet points maybe.
Right.
We'll start with the proposal on the town office, I guess.
Sure. So how will, this is not getting passed out at all at town meeting?
No, but we'll have it for after, for the workshop.
Because we don't want every single person walking
No,
in.
and I know
having
quite a
these-
few, I already know, like, I don't know what the ratio is gonna be, but like, I know like there's 3 people coming to the meeting, but they're going home, because my mother
Oh.
say, I wanna ride with you because I wanna stay for the,
Okay.
so I bet you a good number of people are not gonna stay for, but I don't know
Right,
that.
right.
I think it depends, it's really gonna depend on how quickly we can slide through town meeting.
Right.
I mean, if
Yep.
we can, and I think town meeting is really, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
It should go relatively
Yep.
easily.
yep, the only thing with regard to that is we've got that last warrant item that is the moratorium on
Right,
solar.
that many.
So I'll get to Paul before, just so he anticipates how that mechanically, the attorney thought we should handle that. If the ordinance passes, she said it would make sense to just pass over that question.
Right.
So one of us will make a motion to pass over, it'll be seconded, then we get to explain why we're doing it, and that should end it.
One other quick thing, I heard today that Yover did not allow the water and sanitary district to speak at their town meeting.
Yeah, because I got an email from Rick.
Why? Huh?
Stearns wouldn't allow it.
Oh, they must not have made a motion to allow people from outside the town.
No, they did. And you just wouldn't allow them to die up 10, 15 minutes to put up with it.
Huh.
Well, if they're not on the warrant,
Oh, yeah.
we can let them speak at our workshop.
Well, it's open, you have that, where do you allow members from?
Right,
Right,
but they
but
only
they
speak
can't-
to items.
Right.
They
They can
he's
only-
right, I get that.
No, no. We allow, like Paul Stearns, I'm sure he'll be at our meeting.
Before it starts.
Or,
Before
well,
it
once
starts.
you approve that you're allowing.
No, Stearns gets to address the crowd.
Yeah, he just, I thought before.
No, you look, it's actually you have
Oh,
to,
yeah.
Right, we have to say that.
you have to say that you
Well,
approve that.
I'm not sure that we should be doing that.
No, I
I
mean,
mean,
it's,
people talk from out of town, but it's supposed to be on a warrant item.
no, it's not, it has nothing to do with the warrant.
You can't talk about anything else.
You can during that open, yeah, you can then,
Oh, hang on.
seriously, that's what it's for.
Where is it saying?
Otherwise, your
open?
meeting would be chaos.
The warrant of the beginning? No, towards the.
Okay.
Right there.
So it says, what does it say?
Right there, Article 3, to assert if non-resident speaker are present and whether or not inhabitants wish to call on them to be heard.
Correct.
Right. But
Correct.
that's different from standing up and saying, I have something
Correct.
to say.
But that's what always happens. You do that, and then Paul Stearns raises his hand, yes, you're allowed to speak.
Yeah, and he does a little pitch, great to see everybody, and
Yep.
love representing you and all that. But that's,
Same point of where the water district does
I
the same
agree,
thing.
but I don't think either one of those is actually supposed to happen that way.
No idea.
Because the speaking is, now you have even
Right,
if
right.
you're from outside, you can
can
speak
raise
on our
your
ordinance.
hand and, right.
Yeah.
And chime in.
Sure,
You can't vote, but you can
As
chime
long
in.
as I've been to a town meeting, it's never been handled.
I totally agree
Whether
with
it's
you.
right or wrong, I don't know. but
Right.
It's never in discussion of anything to do with
The
the
only
water.
thing you really are supposed to address are items on your warrant.
Right.
Now, could I
I,
let Rick know that if they want to share something during the workshop?
well, we already told them they could come, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just skip, before we open the meeting, I'd let them talk. That, I know we can do.
Okay.
So
I'll
let's
let
just start with
I'll let
them
him know
standing
that
up
he
and
still
talking.
wants to,
Okay, that
if they
works.
wanna adjust before
Yeah,
before we actually
that
start the
they're gonna
annual
be
town
up.
meeting, yeah.
So when we get to that part, and Paul Stearns raises his hand, he wants to talk, or, and I'm just using Paul as a reference because it
We
happens.
can- we call on him
let's
and
talk
say-
to, let's talk to, Paul before it
Yeah.
all starts.
Yeah.
Because that's really the safest way to
Yeah,
always do it.
That's, yeah.
If any if Susan Collins shows up and she wants to address before the meeting starts, awesome, go
Right.
for it.
But I'm just saying, that's where it's always been in the past.
Yeah, no, well, that second stipulation, you can let anybody talk before it starts, you don't need to grant permission
Right.
for that. That permission part, the way I've always taken it, is that allows anybody from any community to weigh in on our
Right.
individual,
Right, right,
which
right.
some towns don't allow it.
So,
It's technically, you could even own property here, and unless say, unless you live in Augusta and you own a place on the pond, you couldn't say anything
No.
unless we gave,
That's
Correct.
right, that's right.
even though it might be your road that's up for
100%.
discussion.
Yep.
So,
That's right.
All right, well, I'll reach out to,
Yeah,
tomorrow to just let him know.
Either end,
yeah.
we can
Right.
let them speak during the
Once we
workshop.
close the meeting,
Yep.
great, it depends
Yeah.
on where they want it, that's right, too.
I just do it right in the beginning.
Yeah,
I'd
and
go
then
for it.
yeah,
If that's
Makes no
what,
sense then to sit around and wait for the end.
totally agree with you.
yeah.
Well, actually, Rick will probably be there at the end anyway, so.
I'm kinda surprised they didn't put in their letter.
That's weird.
When I found out about it today, I heard they wasn't planning on speaking at ours
That's fine too.
because they couldn't speak in Guilford.
And that's what
And I-
Rick said in his email.
Well, and I asked, why would you think about it? Why would you think that way? Because the whole point of this is to get people educated for the vote. So just because you can't speak over there, you might want to educate the more people you can now, because maybe you'll gain enough votes to offset a negative
Might
vote.
flip it.
Oh, you're right. So, anyway, I thought it all kind of interesting.
I do think if they don't get to speak to anybody, that vote is gonna be tough.
I do too, because it's not
November.
gonna,
So who's gonna have any context?
Right, no, why would you vote
Anyway.
for something you don't have to vote for something?
oh, it's gonna be rough.
So, we've got some enlarged ones that are
Yeah.
going.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I'll do some I'll make a large one like this, like this size.
Wow.
For the town office as well.
Right,
Yeah.
good.
So I was curious, I have not been able to speak to Keith
I was gonna say, I
that
haven't
from engineering. He gave us this thing.
Right,
So have you guys looked over these numbers?
At the time, yeah.
I mean, if you, the way I'm looking at this, the meeting room is almost 180. And the office area is 123. And then there'd be a ratio of these overhead costs. So if you were just gonna spitball a round number without the meeting room, somewhere between 350 and 4 seem fair?
I think all of 350 is a decent number to start
Okay,
with.
that's how I was interpreting it too.
And that's a one-shot number that we have, and we don't know if we can do better.
Right, no,
That's true.
before we
It could be a
come,
hell of a lot worse, too.
we don't know.
Yeah.
Before we come
Yeah, I
with,
just wanted to look at
with an
that's it.
actual request,
Yep.
by then, we're gonna have
We would have a
a
firm
parts
number.
list and
Yep.
contract quotes and all of that.
Yep,
And we're looking for feedback on this idea.
correct.
so are we going to, at the workshop, present numbers?
Just the way we
In
just did,
broad
kind of
stroke,
general,
broad stroke.
approximately this. And if the town wanted to ever consider adding an annual meeting room, you're looking at probably another 2 to 250 by the time you're done. It's probably a 50% upgrade.
Yeah,
So anyway, that's what we share with everybody,
right,
and we're looking for feedback over the
Right.
next few weeks and months.
right. And then describe the process of what's gonna happen, because we would have to have a special to vote on.
That's
this.
correct.
So-
We'll get real concrete numbers, more detail, some of the features and benefits. We've talked, before about technology that would allow us to stream our meetings and
Yeah, yeah.
some of the things that I think would
Would
be
be nice.
enhancements.
Right.
Uh,
One of the things, we never circled back with you, I know Dale did, and maybe he did share this with you, but Keith was never aware of the drive-through window that we had
No, I,
thrown
no.
around.
no.
So he,
The only thing we said about that was that we want it, I'm not saying we're gonna plan it in there, but plan that it's a possibility down the road. So if you need
Right, right.
if you need a 4x4 opening for that, throw a 4x4 window in there.
Yeah.
So down the road, it's a pop-up, you know what I mean?
Even
Without
the adjustment that
reinventing the wheel.
we made to that entry area, that gives you enough space
Yes.
to accommodate, those kind of adjustments
Correct.
makes
Right,
total
yeah,
sense.
Yeah,
Right.
you only need a slide window, really.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah,
have to
and
be
then
anything elaborate.
Yeah,
Right,
for a
right.
couple $100, you, as long as you plan in.
Plan on the front,
Yeah.
yes, that's all I was, that's
Yeah.
all I brought it up to,
Yeah.
wasn't to try to start calculating or anything, but.
Right, the other thing that, and again, I don't know, it was, he was talking about, you know, the driving pattern and having me drive all the way around the back of the building because of 15 cars.
15,
The
yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts rule.
Yeah, we wouldn't have that much traffic, but.
No.
But it is a kind of an off, because you've gotta go through that, next to that resident.
Right.
You're gonna come in and around the back.
Right.
Some people are gonna come in on the left side and then do a U-E and come back. So,
Right.
I mean, that,
Yeah, those are
it
all.
gets more
Yeah,
complicated,
yeah,
but,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're gonna have to have yellow poles to protect your buildings, and
Yeah, bollards.
there's probably
Yeah.
issues with pedestrians and things that you,
The mandate of the 15 parking spots, I thought was kind of, you know.
Oh, I didn't see that.
No, that's what he was
Oh,
saying,
oh,
as far as the,
oh, oh, yeah,
yeah, he would have to,
Yeah, yeah, that's
even though
right,
we'll
that's
never
right.
use them,
That's
he was
right.
gonna have to actually come up with 15 legit parking
Yeah,
spots. So
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and so, well, at Sangerville, we're all gonna park wherever across the front.
And then, yeah, and then the other thing that he discussed, and again, this might not, we don't need to, but that either it had to have a sidewalk in the front because of snow, or it had to be paved.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Completely
yeah.
100% paved.
yep.
Well, their other concern was, cause you still have a little bit of moisture underneath the
Yeah.
door, because we didn't plow in front of it.
Right,
Right.
right.
But, about regrading the whole front, or actually having to elevate that slab up
Mhm.
because of moisture, and I said, well, it's probably, you know, we could regrade that out front, I don't think we need to lift that. We've never had
Can we
water
get some
running.
pitch back, going back towards the road, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can, like I said, I mean, all the years of sand that's been put down out there, and
Depending on where the numbers came in, I certainly would quote it with a paved
Oh,
parking
yeah.
area.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
unless we're really, we're really tight, I mean, I try.
Yeah,
I would, yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be one and done.
yeah.
Then you gotta worry about the septic, how far, where that comes out of.
Oh, that's true, that's true.
Maybe you mentioned that.
We weren't, he wasn't sure, he wanted to know whether any of us knew where the, not plumbing.
Well, just
Septic.
how the pipes ran, and whether or
Yeah.
not, how much deep they were, and,
Right, cause you might have to excavate the whole thing to move it.
yep.
Yeah.
Or actually, you can just add a little, because you just put one of those, pumps in the back, and you could run your line the other way and not have to.
Mhm.
It's all a matter of dollars.
We won't
which
know
is-
until we start tearing into it.
But he was curious whether it went under the building to get to where it is today.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah,
and
We don't know.
Nobody knew the answer to that.
No,
No.
no.
Somebody around here might, I'm trying to think who might.
Sanitary district will know.
Oh, yeah, that's
They
right.
probably have a map.
Well, they're gonna know right where it comes off the main,
Oh, okay,
and you're, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can come off the main and do one of these.
I'll bet it does
things.
go into the building,
Makes sense.
yeah.
But those were all questions that he asked.
And you know, the other thing that I like about that location, although I think it requires us to clean that whole thing up.
Yeah.
And it's,
And keep it that way.
And keep it that way, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
I actually drove around the building this morning.
We've got some work to do.
Oh, yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Right.
Um,
And did he say as far as the slab, how thick that has to be built?
No, he didn't
6
get
inches
into.
for radiant
I
heat?
thought he said 4.
He, no,
4?
he's gonna add 4
4.
inches for radiant, but, so again, I didn't get into it schematics with him, but my understanding, there's 2 different ways to do radiant heat. You can set in there right now, is when it's a bare slab, and do a 4-inch for your radiant heat, or you can actually frame up your whole building with all your walls, then they can pour the concrete over it, and you don't go as thick. Because you know where all your walls are, you know what I mean? You don't have to worry about any of that stuff, so I think there's different, I don't know the best way or the whatever, but there's
So
more
do
than.
they put, is where the framing, is that what keeps the cement in? I mean, or
Yeah, they would just
no
pour-
forms?
No forms, utilize it, pour it around
Ah, interesting.
it. So there's a
Huh.
couple different,
Okay.
which is right, which is wrong, or what it costs, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, it's 4 inches, it's flowable fill, it's not like it's 4 inches of concrete, so.
True. Okay, so, and right now, I mean, we're really just looking at, because of the cost, is just getting an office built and not doing the second,
I personally wouldn't do the second.
yeah.
I wouldn't spend the 200, 250 on a room that we might use, well, we would use once a year,
Yeah.
maybe twice, occasionally.
Occasionally.
We've got so many other venues.
Right.
I mean, the Grace Bible has been fantastic to us, but if something changed there, we just go to the school.
You got the school, you got the Masonic Hall on the avenue,
Yeah.
I mean, there's other,
Yeah, there's other
Okay.
venues before you tie up $250,000 in
Yeah.
them. But I think probably, well, I guess the feedback period.
Right.
If we got a lot of feedback, I said, well, you know, if we're gonna do
Let's
this,
do
we
it.
want.
Let's- yeah.
So then we could kind of present a bifurcated article.
Mhm.
You want it with or without?
Right,
And then they raise their hand.
right.
But that's almost a 3 mil room for Sangerville, so.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think, for me personally, the most important thing is we get it done. If it takes an extra 200 grand for once a year room,
Right,
I'll give them a shot at that. So,
okay. I think,
then really this,
so how are you, I mean, when it comes to our workshop, it's not really our workshop, it's their workshop. So we're gonna have some print-offs of this. Are we gonna provide any other information as far as numbers? You're gonna do that verbally?
yeah, just
we're
what
not
we just
printing
did.
this off.
No, and that's,
Yeah, no, I'm
that's what I'm
asking.
trying
Yeah,
to-
just
Question mark.
what we just did.
Yeah.
And,
so it's gonna be more question and answer really than,
this kind of ties in with our next item. We weren't gonna present the commercial solar lease
Mhm.
at this town meeting because we didn't know if the ordinance was gonna pass. So
Right.
we're coming back for sure, because we've got a lease in hand that they should have an opportunity to yay or nay on. So we will have real numbers on this when we come back. We'll have at least 2 items.
Right.
So,
Because, and the lease, I mean, we're gonna talk about, are we moving on to the
yeah,
solar?
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Are we good with this part? We all
I think we
understand how
are.
we're
Yeah,
gonna-
I think
We
too.
can bounce
Okay.
back and forth, and we
Yeah.
can in the meeting too.
Right,
Because there is some
Maybe.
synergies here between these two.
right, because we may be generating money that
Correct.
might be there.
Correct.
Yeah. So with the land lease, okay, so this is about the lease, so this is based on, okay, so even if the moratorium is, let's say, the ordinance doesn't pass, and now we've got a moratorium.
Then we're stopped.
We're stuck.
We're not gonna talk about the lease.
No,
Well, we
can
could
still
come
talk
back
about it.
with an ordinance, and, well, no, no,
At the workshop, we can still talk about this.
yeah, no, we can talk about it. The challenge will be if the ordinance doesn't pass, and the moratorium doesn't pass,
Oh,
then we can't present this.
alright,
I mean, we could, but we would be nuts,
yeah, that would make sense.
because there's no protection for the town.
Right, right.
So actually,
No,
at that
but I mean-
point, I wouldn't vote to put it on the warrant.
No,
If I
as
didn't have
far
any
as-
ordinance to
would
protect the
you,
town.
if we get to that point tomorrow night, does that mean we wanna table this entire conversation in the workshop?
If neither of them pass,
Yeah, well, I don't have a problem with saying what we just said.
right,
We're gonna come back to you maybe with this, but only if the ordinance passes.
and are we gonna, is this going to?
Okay, but what I'm trying to,
I was just doing the picture.
do we wanna take the opportunity
That's
Yeah.
to talk about this, so everybody understands the revenue part of what it could
Yeah.
potentially,
Yep,
you know what I'm saying?
yep.
But word it that way, we could still talk about this.
Well, I don't have a problem actually in kind of veering into this when we're talking about the ordinance, the second to the last question. This is why we think that this ordinance is important, literally essential to be honest. Because we've got at least, we have 2 proposed
Right,
We have
commercial
two.
lots coming in.
Right.
I mean, they want to come in.
Yep.
And so this is a big deal. These are huge corporations that trade these contracts. This is And it's an opportunity really for Sangerville.
Mhm.
But we gotta do it right.
Mhm.
And if this doesn't pass, that's why we have a moratorium, because we wanna make sure we get something in place.
Right.
If the moratorium doesn't pass, we're not gonna bring this lease forward. Now, the other one could go ahead because
Right.
there's nothing to stop it.
Right,
So,
right.
Well, yeah, that's really what we need to,
yeah, we need to really convey this. I can't imagine the ordinance is gonna have a problem.
No, I,
Oh my God.
but I was just talking to Lauren, as far as logistics, so we're just, if, let's say the ordinance passed, we're just supplying this.
Yeah,
to
I-
the
yeah,
people. I
yeah.
mean,
They
not
don't-
least.
there's nothing wrong with this going on the website later on.
Right, but this needs to be renegotiated.
Oh, yeah, no, we
100%.
got, in fact,
Yeah, we're
I
not
mean,
there yet.
in my opinion,
Okay.
I'd get a second quote. I mean, there's other companies
Yeah,
doing this.
yeah.
Let's see
Yeah,
if there's any
getting
other interest.
more
Right,
going
exactly, I
on.
mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't
That's a good
sign up
point.
my land for just with one quote.
right.
So,
Right.
yeah, I think we have more due
Well,
diligence.
we could go
to do.
shopping now.
That's
Right.
exactly right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. And there's other aspects of this, the idea that there's no property tax, we should get a boost.
Exactly,
You
exactly.
know,
yeah, our revenue should go up.
the
Right, right.
40-year clause,
Yeah.
that's, their 2% annual increase, I think is a little light. At the end of 20 years, you've only increased your 2,000 by less than 50%. What's that gonna look like in 40 years?
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah. Yeah, that's a little long,
Yeah.
a little long, yeah.
And I don't know, and another thing is, we're gonna have some legal, because we're not gonna sign this without putting this in
Right.
front of an attorney that
Right.
specializes in this.
Right,
But I wonder if they can do something else. I mean, nobody was thinking about solar panels 40 years ago. What are they
Yeah.
gonna be doing 40 years from
right,
now?
yeah, that's true, that's true.
And what might it be worth?
Yeah, yeah, 40 years is a long,
2 generations.
yeah. Yeah,
Your grandkids will be swearing at you.
yeah, that, yeah,
No, they
and,
probably won't be swearing at you, that's not in 40 years.
No, they won't, not
no,
directly,
that's
no.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They'll be taking my name in vain.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
there
what
you
exactly
go.
it is.
That's it. That's
So anyway, it's an interesting, and I find the whole thing kind of fascinating, but yeah, those are the steps.
Yeah,
If the ordinance and the moratorium don't pass, this thing doesn't see the light of day until we get one in place.
right,
But there are, just the application fees alone are not small. I mean, just nice little, I always talk about how, being the smallest kid on the block, comparing us to Dover and Dexter and all that. Well, when we pick up 20,000 or 25,000
Yeah,
for something,
yeah.
it's kind of a big deal for
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Whereas Bangor wouldn't even notice it. And these application fees alone are gonna be in that range.
yeah,
So,
It's huge for Sangerville.
yeah, it
Yeah,
is great.
it's a
It
big
is.
help.
That's not, I mean, so when we actually talk about the ordinance, we may end it touch on this a little bit because it's the second one.
correct.
I mean, as a community, the other one, there's not much to discuss. But this one, we do have information that we could kind of talk about.
Yep.
In a positive,
Yep.
is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
To help get that, more reasons why we need this ordinance.
Yep. And I would, regarding your conflict, it would, if you want to say something on this, I'd be really clear about, I'm
Oh,
recused on
I've
this.
been instructed.
I would, yeah.
I've been
And then
instructed.
you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
say whatever you want as
Yeah.
long as you disclose that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because we don't want
I've got
anybody
it. Yeah, I'm
double
good.
checking us, so.
No. Yep, yep,
So, yeah, I think that's all good stuff.
right.
Okay. So as far as this though, this right here, we're gonna get blown up.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's got, that's what it's gonna look like.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can have a few of those to hand out to
I've
people
got
who
these,
want 'em.
and then I have just the regular size for people to look at, just
Yeah.
regular
Perfect,
size.
perfect.
But I'll put this on a
Yeah.
bulletin board along
All right.
with the plans for the town office.
Perfect.
Okay.
And again, we're looking for feedback. If this happened, if there's any timber of any value, we'll be able to it'll be our timber. We just
Right.
send a logger in there and
Sure.
go get it.
Right.
So, that's probably, that question's gonna come up.
Okay.
I can't think of anything else on that. Okay.
Yeah, so this lease is really not anything that's really, I mean.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It's
planned.
really,
Yeah.
it's kind of a hypothetical.
It is, that's exactly.
Well, it's Yeah, I mean, it's way premature to share a whole lot.
Yeah, no, but, yep. But it is a public document, if anybody wanted it, they could have it.
Sure.
But we're not agreeing to that, we're not signing that, so.
No.
Well, that's the other thing about, I don't really want it out there a lot, because I don't want, that'll be the next rumor mill, look at what we're doing,
Right, yeah.
you know, and it's not there,
And
it's not even.
we have no intention of signing this.
Correct.
Okay. Well, good.
Are you good other than, so we good? Have a
I'd
plan?
like to take just a quick recess,
Sure.
okay? It's 4:37 and we'll just recess.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Okay, it's, well, it's about 4:40. I don't have anything else.
Okay,
Make a motion.
Yep, go ahead.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? We are done. See you guys tomorrow night.